Welcome back to the Narrative Inc. podcast. My name is Sam.
I'm Colton, and Narrative Inc. is here to give you tons of tips on how you, as a new writer, can actually finish your stories and find inspiration to write those stories. And today, we are talking about starting small and not going with some epic scope, but actually finishing stories that are meaningful to you and to other people. So, Sam, what has been your experience with trying to write an epic fantasy and failing?
Multiple times it has occurred that I have set out to write my epic fantasy novels, which I plan to write, but I make it about like 700 to 2,000 words in, and then I go, this is stupid. And it's just a really daunting task. And because what got me into wanting to write was DMing D&D and this world that I built and fleshed out and made and developed political structures and made kingdoms and history and heroes and all this stuff. And I have lore and legends and myths and history. And it's a very in-depth world that I've worked on for almost 6 years now. It has been being, completely ironed and fine-tuned, and that's been such a fun process, was the world building. But anytime I try to sit down and write stories in I always stop, because it's exhausting, and I always end up just DMing another campaign for it. Like, every campaign I've DM'd has started with an idea of me like, I should write this as a book. And then I start writing it, and then I don't. Yeah. And then I'm like, hey, let's play some D&D. And then I do my plot line as the plot line of the D&D campaign.
And I mean, that is a way to get your writing done. That is a way you can do it. But if you're actually trying to write it and turn it into a book, it's a lot more difficult. So my suggestion, whether it's for D&D or writing a fantasy or whatever, is just start small, do short stories. Or just take away the epic fantasy altogether and take a really simple story that you know you can write and write that instead. Whether it is for example, from a friend of ours, Jackson Dickert, he tried writing epic fantasy for a long time, but he just like you, like many writers, just couldn't do it. And so he decided, hey, I'm going to write a silly Boy Scouts camping story and all the mischief and mayhem that comes along with that. And he was able to finish it, publish it, and now he's just finished his second book, which is an urban fantasy. So it's still not epic fantasy, but still like going towards what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And that's where I started as well. And what I'm doing right now is a lot of short stories and a lot of just shorter fiction that is world building and creating stories within my worlds. And I think if we start smaller, it helps us with the larger picture. We can't climb a mountain just by jumping on top of it. You have to do it step by step. You can't eat an elephant whole. You gotta eat it step by step. I don't know why people talk about eating elephants. You could just be like, I'm just gonna eat this cake.
Yeah, cake is much nicer than an elephant.
Exactly. Anyway, but yeah, start small. Start with 10-minute writing sessions where you get a prompt and you try and write as much in that 10 minutes. That's something that I do with my writing group, something that McKay and I have done at a local writing group. I find it's really fun because you just have to come up with something really fast, and you're kind of like, all your constraints are gone, but you have to create something really small in this specific amount of time. It really jumpstarts your writing and your creativity. But yeah, so knowing that, hey, you don't have to write the epic fantasies. You could write something else. What would you do with a new type of story? Or like, where would you start? What is something that is meaningful to you that is maybe in a different genre?
As you were talking, the idea just bloomed in my mind, and I haven't thought of this before. So this is a new idea in my head. This is like,
I bet we could find that moment on video where it's just,
but I love folklore, fairy tales, and cryptids. And I live in the modern world, so a modern setting would inherently be easier. So my brain started developing an entire idea pitch for writing this book series about. It's kind of like a modern Van Helsing almost, but not.
I'm gonna stop you right there. You said book series.
True.
How about a couple short stories?
Oh.
That way, you don't make it a super daunting task of a book series, but just a handful of accounts from either the victims or the monsters or the people looking for it. Or you could take the Dracula style of two people sending letters between each other, because Dr. Van Helsing did that. There's so many possibilities that aren't just epic fantasies or novels or a book series. You could create some really cool short fiction, and even like, if you got this far, you could create some videos, some audio, some things just based on these short stories alone. It's fun to see his mind start to turn and twist and like, wow, I didn't know I could do this. And that's what we're trying to do for everybody. I hope you're catatonic the whole rest of the episode. That's what we're trying to do for everybody, is writing is art. You don't need to constrain yourself to what you're seeing. You don't need to constrain yourself to what has been done. There's so many things, especially in our modern day, whether it's finding cryptids or whether it's writing these other types of short stories, that you can do that is super interesting. Right now, analog horror and adjacent horror to that is really popular. And I think if Sam was able to do something like that, not saying it would pick up, but I think there is definitely an audience and an interest for that, depending on how you frame it. So, and being a creative and being a creator is more than just writing. It's the planning and the plotting and the fun that comes along with it. Because what if the story flops? Well, at least you still had a good time along the way. So, Sam, any final thoughts as you've been developing this in your mind?
I know what I'm gonna do today.
Okay. Well, Sam, thank you so much. I'm very excited that I was able to kind of inspire you and to kind of change some things. Maybe shift your mind a little bit to like, hey, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, thank you so much for watching. Did this help you? Was this helpful to you at all? I mean, even if it was just helpful to Sam, I call that a success.
I mean, but if it was helpful to you, let us know in the comments. We want to talk about it. We want to interact with you guys. You know, you find all of our socials. We're always there. Colton has access to them. McKay has access to them. I'm on my own account on YouTube replying to your comments. So if you see the random guy with the lightsaber in his picture, that's me. We'd love talking to you guys. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to come back. We post videos every week, a couple a week actually. And we're here to help you guys become better writers.
Join our newsletter, because we are sending out weekly stuff and weekly information. Yeah, join our Patreon if you want to get exclusive access, and also just to support us a little bit. We really appreciate it. But yeah, thank you so much. Write something close to home, something that's a bit simpler for you to finish. And I think you'll find a lot of success in that. Have a great day.